what is the real wealth formula? So we're going to go over each acronym. REAL, actually, REAL, has its own, step in the process. And this is the formula that I use to go from working my regular 9 to 5 into wealth. We define wealth as your passive income being larger than your monthly expenses. And it's what made it so that I could kind of escape the rat race, kind of start taking control of my finances, make it so that, my wife didn't have to drop the kids off at daycare. She could stay home. The path to financial freedom. So I've tried to condense it into 5 topics, REAL, and there's a bonus L in there. So let's get right into it. This first step in the real wealth formula is that you reduce your monthly expenses. And that, it sounds very Dave Ramsey-ish. And by the way, I love Dave Ramsey. He does a wonderful job helping people get out of debt. But you really do need to recognize that if the definition of wealth is that your passive income is larger than your expenses, your monthly expenses, then the first thing we really got to tackle are those monthly expenses. There's a lot of bloat inside of, the average American budget. Most people don't even have a budget. I don't like the word budget. We call it spending plan. Budget seems too restrictive to me. The spending plan that I like to get is to say, here's the aspects of my money that I'm going to be investing in, I'm going to be spending. That spending plan then says, I will spend money on this. I'm not going to spend money on that. And so it kind of gets a plan there. But when we start thinking about reducing our monthly expenses, there's a lot of things that we actually don't care about that are coming out of our bank accounts every month. It could be things like how often I'm going to Starbucks. Subscriptions are one of the worst. So if what we're trying to do is become wealthy, our passive income become larger than our monthly expenses, and why would we want to do that? Well, the reason why we'd want to kind of be wealthy is that it makes it so that we don't have to work anymore. If your passive income is larger than your monthly expenses, then you don't have to work anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't want to work. We should work. We should go find things that we want to do and go do them over and over and over again. I'll tell you about my story, in some of these podcasts, right? But to reduce your monthly expenses, that's the first step. How do you know you can become wealthy unless you know exactly what you're spending per month? If you're wanting to live off of 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month or 5 grand a month or whatever that number is, you first have to find out what that is, okay? And then reduce it so that you're living off of that which you actually care about, not just spending money willy-nilly. In a subsequent episode, we're going to go into deep details about this very first step of reducing your monthly expenses. That's first base. I'm a baseball guy. First base is just reduce your monthly expenses. Get your expenses down to a point where this is where we can comfortably live. Working with the family, working with the wife, you have the highest priority that are the most important to you. Most people don't even track or even know what they're spending their money on. We'll get to that in a subsequent episode. I'm just trying to give you an overview of what the real wealth formula actually is. So step 1 is reduce your monthly expenses. Step 2 is enlarge your active income. Okay. Ramsey says it right. Your income is your best wealth building tool. By controlling that income, you now have the ability to do with that income what can make you actually wealthy. And so we want to increase that income. We want to be making more money. Okay. For some of you, it's to stay in your job and to just get promotions and to become an invaluable team member. For some of you, it's to jump ship, go to another company that's going to pay you more. For this particular way, I talk about how I did it, right? At the time, I was managing a hotel here in Denver in the tech center, was not making ends meet. I was also at the time planting a church. I used to be a pastor many moons ago. And while I'm doing those kinds of things, we just weren't making enough money. And so I had to figure out a different way to increase or enlarge my active income. And the way I chose to do that was through real estate. And so 500 plus deals later, $86 million in real estate deals, I've gotten to the point where I'm now trying to help other people escape the rat race just like I did. But that didn't happen by accident. It happened by intention. And that intention was to start doing real estate deals so I can make money in big chunks. That's a beautiful thing about real estate. You can go make big chunks. You've heard of flipping, probably wholesaling. This is where you can go make, $5, 10, 20, 40, $100,000 at a time. I also wanted something that I could get some residual income coming, right? Made it so that my wife wouldn't have to work. She could stay home with the kids. I found that real estate was one of the easiest ways to go get that passive income where you acquire an asset and then it pays you over and over. $500 a month on a rental property, $1,000 maybe, notes, like real estate notes. We'll get into all of that stuff. But the objective is to have the money to be able to buy the passive income. And so in order to have the money, you need to enlarge your active income. Simply put, you need to just go make some more money. And for a lot of people, you need someone to tell you that. That job, that 9 to 5 might make it so that you're able to survive. But is it making it so that you can thrive? Many need a side hustle, something different than just punching in and punching out. And so that's the whole point of the Real Wealth Formula, is that we're going to teach you a method, ways that you can enlarge your active income while still keeping your 9 to 5 without quitting your job. So continuing to do your job, but do these real estate side hustles on nights, weekends, margins of your day. Don't miss a little league game. Make it so that you are, intentional about your time and making more money so that you can do step 3. Step 3 is acquire passive income. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to get passive income. There's a bunch of different types of passive income. One type of passive income is dividends from stock. We'll go into that in a future episode. And in fact, one of the next episodes that are going to show up for you. Some can be through buying into a business and getting distributions from a business, a small business, something like that. My preferred method of passive income is real estate. Now, that can get broken down to in a couple things. One is owning rental properties, just like is pretty typical. That's my favorite way, is to own rental properties, because rental properties pay me on a month-and-month basis. On the first of the month, the rent is due every single month. We've gotten really good at holding a large portfolio, not just in one market in the country, but in multiple markets. And so holding rental properties is an absolute game changer. The other part to it is notes. This is where I become the bank, which I love doing that. In fact, one of my businesses, it's called SlowPad. We help tenants buy houses. And so we want to make it so that a tenant can buy the house. If they do certain things, if they pay a certain amount of rent, eventually they will own that house because I will fund it for them. That's an excellent way to get passive income when you not just hold the rental property, which has its benefits from a tax perspective, an appreciation perspective, all those sort of things, but also from shifting that over into being a lender, being a private lender to get regular residual passive income in the form of a note payment rather than a rent payment. If you believe money should be more about just the numbers, if you want to connect your finances to purpose and legacy, then subscribe right now. Every week, we'll walk this journey together.